Welcome to Can, the marketing podcast. I'm Ben from Human Digital, the B2B marketing agency.
And I'm Steph from Q Marketing, making brands shine since ages ago.
This week, we're joined by John Miles to talk about the evolution of the Marketing Association and what it takes to turn today's marketers into tomorrow's leaders.
So if you're ready to upgrade from campaign commander to marketing maestro, this one's for you.
We release a new episode every week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Happy Wednesday, Steph.
Happy Wednesday, Ben. So one of us is in New Zealand and one of us is...
And Sydney. Yes, in Sydney for meetings this week, and it's lovely here. Sydney's getting ready for Mardi Gras, so there's rainbow flags everywhere, and yeah, everything is looking amazing. And it's actually been it's been a big week. We had obviously the long weekend. On the Thursday, we had Laneway here. I think Auckland was the first stop for Laneway this year. The highlight was definitely Chapel Roan, who pulled out all the stops. It was amazing. Last year was Charlie XCX, a big fan, but yeah Chapel's performance was brilliant. Yeah.
Now, you and I were messaging on the day of Laneway, and I was being sent a lot of pictures of G-string, not from you, of pictures of G-strings and fishnets. What was it like? Because I told you I would follow up on this. What was your experience in terms of the amount of flesh on display? Was it offensive or was it?
The costumes were amazing. I mean, there were so many people there. It was massive. I don't know what the final number was. I want to say around 30 to 40,000.
Oh, wow.
It was big. It was really big. They have 4 stages and it was massive. So last year, Charlie XCX was the headliner, and they had her down at the stage that was near the road, and that was big. But this year they had Chapel Roan essentially at the back over the hill, and the benefit of that location is you have essentially the big round, and then you have a big natural hill in the back. So a natural stadium, and yeah, she was amazing. Really, really good. And then
no nipples on display.
No, she didn't. She did talk about being at the Grammys, and I mean, we talked about the dress, which was amazing, but her costumes were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And then shot up to Matakana for the weekend, grabbed a 4-square hat on the way.
Yes,
so
now,
tell me about that image.
I went in to buy a hat, and then I was like, I don't know if I want the hat. Give me a hat review, please.
So there's 2 colorways. There is a green and a kind of a beigey brown. I chose the green. It's a lovely color. It's a really nice green. It has the 4 on the side, and then on the front has the man icon logo.
Yep.
And yeah, it's brilliant. It's really well designed, and I think it was only, don't quote me, but $15.
That's pretty good. Yeah, nice.
Really good. Yes, and I've brought it over to Australia because I lost my Roland Garros hat on an airplane. So yeah, this is the new hat for Ben, and I'm very pleased with it.
Okay,
what did you get up to on the weekend?
Well, I stayed in Auckland because we had my partner's sister had gone to Laneway, so I got the inside news on Laneway. We decided to we went up to Queen's Rooftop for some drinks on Friday night and went out for a gorgeous dinner at my Lenta. And so Auckland was mental. There was the Laneway people, and then there were people running around in cowboy boots and cowboy hats on Friday night, and that was a country and western singer. And then there was a drum and, did you know this? There was a drum and bass gig on Sunday.
I did. I saw some of the drum and bass in my stories, and I'm a big drum and bass fan, and it looked amazing.
And then I felt super old because I was like, I didn't even know that was on. So we spent some time at the beach and having lovely catch-ups with friends. So yeah, I mean, I had a lovely, lovely weekend. It was great. So that was awesome. Not as exciting as going away, but yeah, here we are. Now, it's been a big week in the news. Should we kick off with Super Bowl, because I just feel like we promised Super Bowl.
Yes, and we did. We talked a bit about Super Bowl in the last episode. So Super Bowl happened.
Yes.
And wow. So Super Bowl, apparently they play football, but there's
For 4
also
hours. 4 hours,
4 hours.
$9,000 tickets, apparently. Things I've learned about
Yeah.
the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Oh my God. And then they have the ads, which is what we're all about, and the halftime show. Uh, Amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
they were releasing some of these ads before the event.
Which
Um,
is crazy to me that they do that, by the way. That's a weird thing.
I think that's good. I mean, it's kind of like Black Friday. It's no longer just Black Friday. It's like the Super Bowl is no longer just Super Bowl. You kind of have to, you know,
Easter's not Easter. Easter's in
it's just
January.
not a day. Yeah. So, I mean, to give a quick summary, I've written a couple of articles on my views on the ads. There was a lot of meh. I think that's how I would say
D-
it. Like a
yeah.
yeah,
So how do I put this? And you would have gone deeper than me, but overuse of celebrity, I felt like
so many celebs.
I,
And
I was like,
celebs, I mean, I think to preface, I think the most expensive 30-second slot cost 10 million US. Like
to
that
make or to air.
yeah, this is that space.
Oh,
Like to buy that space. And that's before you pay your celebs and your production crew and your creatives and your agency. So, these budgets are huge. But there were some really cool standouts. So I'm just gonna quickly tell you my top three.
go for it.
Top ad was Google Gemini. No celebrities, no fancy AI. It was a beautiful conversation between a mother and her son, talking about moving into their new home, and it was so adorable. I think, there was no gimmicks, there was no hype, there was no big celebs. It was just a beautiful story about, that someone's new home and imagining different spaces. So
That's
loved
cool.
that.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But AI is in my top three. So I actually wrote about the Anthropic Claude ad before because they did a pre-release,
Yeah.
but also in the top three. Um, Poking fun at ChatGPT without naming
It's so good.
ChatGPT,
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
And I think they really position really well. And then the other top three for me, it's kind of a tie. So Pepsi, the Pepsi ad again, which we've already talked about. But I also really like the Hellmann's, the AMA's ad as well.
Oh,
So
that was so
that was
good.
kind of like silly, like silly, but not to the extreme, because a
Like
lot of
it's
the silly ads just went, like the Ben Stiller one
oh,
for
what was that even?
Instacart.
What was that even for? That was
Maybe it's not
horrible.
for our generation, but I felt like it was trying too hard. I think
Yeah.
Hellman's got that balance right between humor and entertainment, but
Yeah.
the the real winner of the whole thing was Adidas. So Adidas did not buy an ad spot. They didn't spend a lot of money. They partnered with Bad Bunny, who did the halftime show. And
Yeah.
so he wore the Bad Boo 1.0, which is a sneaker shoe that he wears,
Thanks.
sold out. They were part of culture. So
Yeah.
they had what money couldn't buy. They were part of the halftime show. They were in the moment. They were the moment. Yeah. So kudos to Adidas, who
Yeah.
outshined all of the other brands.
Okay, that's such a good read on it. Actually, I didn't notice the Adidas side of it, but I think I agree with that sentiment. The only thing I'm going to add to that is I really quite like I like the ads with humor, but not in the crazy Ben Stiller way. That was so weird. Like
I did love
there's
when he fell off the stage at the end. That
oh,
was it was cringy, and then I was like, okay, we're done.
Gosh. I
Yeah.
did quite like the Pringles one, and I thought that was quite really clever.
Mm,
I'd had a couple of lols at that, and then again, I really liked Pepsi because it was just
mm,
it was a subtle jive, and I was
mm.
there for that. So
They also brought in culture with the Coldplay jab at the end. So
oh
I think,
yes,
yeah,
yes, that was
like
it.
they knew, and I think that's, great brands are really in tune with culture. They know what's happening and they know how to be a part of it in an authentic way. And I think, Adidas and Pepsi both did that really well.
I think there was one that Kendall Jenner did, and I cannot remember what it was for now, but she poked fun at herself. Oh, it was a betting app. She said, "Oh,
Yeah.
I date football players, and they generally tend to lose their careers." I thought that was quite amusing.
Mm.
So I've got two other things in the news that I wanted to bring up this week.
Mhm.
One I think is really interesting. So the warehouse have just announced that they have stopped all above the line advertising. Have you seen this?
Mm. I didn't know that they had stopped advertising. I know that they've just been through a big restructure.
Yeah. So super interesting that so the headline there is we've pulled back on all external advertising, focusing on customer and shopper experience in store, potentially with retail media. That's an interesting play, I think, as
Mm.
somebody when you and I understand the economic environment for the warehouse, and I've had lots of conversations with marketing colleagues around this in the last 7 days. That for me is going to be a bit of a watch this space because for how long do you pull your media spend?
Mm. Speaking of the warehouse, like they are in a tricky position, but I think this is what strategy looks like. Like they've made a line and they are, they're following a direction, which is great. So it'll be good to see
I don't know
how
if it's
they
strategy at this
cultivate.
stage. I feel like the
Yeah,
strategy
well,
will come,
so
but
strategy, like, my hope it is strategic, but it is a strategy. It's making a choice, and it's saying,
yeah, making a
we're
choice.
not going to do this. We're going to do this, and so
Yeah.
I think good luck to them, and I think hopefully they tap into something new. I mean, they do have loyal shoppers that go into those stores, and the stores are generally busy, but it's tough out there.
And I think my takeaway for this is I don't think this is a marketing decision. This is a business decision. Like the warehouse has got a business problem to solve. This isn't a marketing problem. Like marketing is
Mm,
one element of it, but there are so many factors that go into the performance of the warehouse. So
mm.
yeah. And then another thing that got me really wound up, and I don't know why this has impacted me. I don't even shop at McDonald's. Have you seen this? McDonald's are giving away, how they do little, toys. Friends characters. Chandler, Ross.
Wow.
Why?
No, I haven't
Like,
seen
who
that.
who's who that's my generation. I'm not shopping at McDonald's. Like,
Yeah,
what's going on?
maybe they're trying to bring you back into the store. Maybe that's the strategy. It's like they don't want the kids anymore. They want the
No,
millennials.
no,
Yeah.
love that you thought I was a millennial. We'll go with that. Um, yeah. So no, I was just like, well, I just listen, I had it on in the background, and I was like, what the f? Anyway, if anyone can explain to me why McDonald's have got the Friends characters as their merch items and who that's appealing to, I'd love to know.
We will investigate. So this week we have a guest. So we have John Miles from the Marketing Association talking a bit about his career, a bit about the history of the Marketing Association.
Yes,
So let's welcome John onto the pod.
let's do it.
John is the CEO. How long have you been with the Marketing Association now, John?
Oh, I have now been with the Marketing Association 6 years and 4 months.
Oh,
Brilliant. And
fantastic.
what were you doing before? What were you doing before the
Oh,
Marketing Association?
well, I started my career in FMCG, and my first real job was working with paper products, and where I progressed from gift wraps and serviettes into runny noses, and then I had the opportunity to apply for a job at the breweries, and it was a very hard choice, breweries or
Oh,
runny
tough.
nose. So I worked for them for 5 years. I then worked in agencies for a number of years and drifted into education and worked at Bay of Plenty Polytech for 5 years. I then had the opportunity to move. I took another role in housing. I've had a couple of housing roles as well, and had the
Oh,
opportunity
wow.
to go to Australia, and I got headhunted over to Griffith University and took up a strategic role there and worked with them for 5 years, and then moved down to Sydney and ended up in a role where I was the CEO of a private business school that was owned by an Indian entrepreneur who had campuses in Mumbai, Singapore, Sydney, and Dubai, and
Wow.
all the students had to study at one. They had to study at 3 campuses to get their MBA or their undergrad or whatever. So I was the boss of the Sydney campus, and we had about 800 students.
So
Yeah.
did
And then it
the
came
MA
home.
find you, or did you find the MA, John? Like how
Oh,
did
well,
the love affair with
I came for a job interview. My wife's very clever. I didn't get the role, and she got 6 job offers. And so, so
what does she do, just out of interest?
well, she's an architect by trade, but she's a project director and
Okay.
works for New Zealand's largest project management firm. So
And so you
I
had
ended,
no job, and
well, I had no job, and I ended up working for Laureate Universities, which is the largest university in the world, and they own Media Design School. I was doing a 1-year contract for them, and it got about 8 months in, and I saw this job come up, and I thought, oh yeah, I could be chief flag waver for all the marketers in New Zealand, and so I applied for it, and lo and behold, they thought I might be okay at it, and obviously liked my education background because the education at MA really needed an overhaul then. So yeah.
and I think that's a really interesting one to touch on, because there is such a huge education element to marketing association. So is
Yeah.
that something that has changed in your time in the role? Like what sort of what were
Oh,
the courses and things that were available prior
oh,
to you joining?
it's only about 90% different. And, so
Okay.
they they had a number of certificates and diplomas that had to be retired. They were a little bit, on their retire date.
Yeah.
One of the things you have to realize also is that when I started, about 3 months after I got there, COVID hit. So
I was just going to say that. So if you were in 2019, it was the golden time. That was a great year. Things were going really well. People were optimistic,
yep,
and so
yep.
things have changed significantly. So yeah, that's been an interesting ride for you. What was that like?
Yes. So one of the things that helped us really to get the education going and being a little bit different was necessity is a great thing. When COVID hit, we lost our main income streams, which were events and
Mm,
no L&D. All we had was membership. So it was pretty tough. And MA had never run an online event or education program at that time. So everyone's telling us, well, you got to cut costs, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I asked a different question. I said, well, what can we do for our members? What can we do
yeah.
that's really going to add some value? So I had this
Mm.
idea. I thought, oh, what if I get one of the best marketer in the world, and see if I can convince him to do a work from home, online. So I'd never met him before, but I cold called Mark Ritson and mate, I can deliver. I looked at what do we own that might be attractive to someone.
Valuable. Yeah.
Mm.
And that was news. I said to him, I can deliver all the New Zealand marketers to you. And
This
Mm.
is that was the 10 episode
12,
course that you
12
did.
weeks. Yeah, work
So
from home
Oh,
bootcamp.
I did that. So that's
Yeah,
actually
okay, cool.
I didn't realize that was your baby. So there you go.
Well,
And then I went on to
thank you
do
for your
the mini.
donation.
You're
that's
welcome.
brilliant. So if we
So
if we wind it back to the
yep,
start, like let's talk about the start of the Marketing
yeah.
Association. Was it always called the Marketing Association, and what was the genesis there?
It actually started, I mean, we've been going, this is our 52nd year. It
Wow.
started as the New Zealand Direct Mail Association. And my
Mm.
understanding was that it came about because a number of companies, they were wanting to join together because of, in those days, some of the post issues were quite large. So they grouped in together. We actually only have one member left from that era, and that's
NZ Post?
American
No.
Express.
American. Oh, really?
Funnily enough, I don't think New Zealand Post joined at that stage, being there was a little, what might have been called in other language, a cartel trying to
Yeah.
influence.
Mm.
So it then sort of built on itself from there, and it became the Direct Marketing Association of New Zealand in 1982. There was an organisation that tried to take it on, which was actually called the New Zealand Marketing Institute, but that fell over in
Oh.
1997. And in
Mm.
2007, they transformed it into the New Zealand Marketing Association, which it is today. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So next year is what, 20 odd years as MA. So New Zealand Marketing Association is the official title. Yeah.
And you've got some strong membership. And what are your membership numbers at the moment in terms of
Well,
companies and
it's a
individuals?
it's a little bit misleading. We're very strong in students at the moment. We've really done a big push in that area. I think we're up over 500 odd students who are members with us now, which is brilliant. Um, we have round about 500 odd to 600 odd companies, but as you both know, being members, there's different tiers of membership. So we actually have over between 8,000, 9,000 individuals on our database who we would all call members. But you have to remember, someone like Westpac or a Spark or someone like that, we might have 100 to 150 of their team who are actually part of the marketing association. We say eight to 9,000. I think we've got a mailable database in terms of engaged people, about 6,500, 7,000 people in that vicinity. Yeah.
Now,
So,
just on the off chance that someone listening to this podcast is not actually a marketer or hasn't heard of the Marketing Association, so just for
yeah,
argument's sake,
sure.
tell us what tell us what the Marketing Association actually is and who it's for.
Okay, so we're the professional association for marketers in New Zealand. And
Awesome.
we're recognised as the one professional. Now, the difference with us to other professional associations, if you take, say, the accounting or the lawyers or architects, is they all have a requirement by law that people have to join, otherwise they can't practice. So, I would love to be in that position because they have a guaranteed income stream. And the other thing, as part of that, whether you're an architect, lawyer, you have to have a continuing professional development and you have to have so many points. Now, everything we do, we have to pretty much sell. So we have to get people to recognize the value in what we do, recognize the value in the learning and development, et cetera, et cetera. When I first started, before we'd really articulate it, people would say, "What do you do?" And I'd always say, "I'm a marketing evangelist. I preach the good word of marketing." And then we went through with the board and did a 2030 strategy. And because they're all like CMOs, that sort of thing, and they like pillars and all those sorts of things.
Shapes. They
And
like shapes. Lots of
yeah,
shapes.
yeah, all that, these shapes and then these shapes, all that sort of thing. And it actually was very good work. And I just said, as you do sometimes, I said, "Oh, actually, what we're saying here is we help marketers be brilliant." And I went, "Oh,
Yeah.
shit, what a campaign line." So if anyone asks me today, and we've been very consistent with it, is that we help marketers be brilliant. And what does that mean? Is that any marketer who is wanting to be better in their job, whether it's by formal learning with working and development, whether it's networking with their peers, whether it's coming to a conference and listening to experts, whether it's coming to a marketing meetup, to listen to people who are really cool at what they do and really shit hot at what they do. So therefore, learn from others. And we have a massive community, and I think one of the reasons it has gone very well for us is that people recognize we're totally authentic in what we do. Is that all we want to do? What do you want to do? I want to help people be better at their job. End of story.
That's it.
You were talking about your focus in education, especially students, and one of the programs that has been really successful is the Top Talent Marketing School.
Yeah.
And I think you received an award from the University of Auckland for that.
I was very chuffed.
Yes, and it is a brilliant program. It's bringing together now the University of Auckland and AUT, and it's providing something that really complements the education for those students. Obviously, these students are already in top universities doing marketing, and one thing that I hear often is graduates coming out of these programs and not having either workplace experience or, not having been exposed to people from the industry.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's working really well for that program is that exposure.
Right.
And can you tell us a bit about how that came about and what the plan is for that program?
Uh, we started off a few years ago. w- I um I had someone who was working with young Maori students, and he they were trying to get these students into better jobs and education and that sort of thing. And this was about 5 years ago. And I, of course, boldly said, "Oh, yeah, I can get them all into jobs," and
Yeah.
and I said, I'll get them professionally certified. And one of our programs is a professional certification. So we put all of these students through a professional certification in core skills marketing to get them better prepared for work and things. And that went really well. We had some good success out of it. And that broadened to just Pacifica students, and it was spread all around the country. Unfortunately, it started to get a little bit expensive. So as luck would have it, Drew left AUT and went to University of Auckland. So I just sort of called him up and said, "Drew, can you get me the top 15% of marketing students? Can you sort of break them out, and do you know where they are?" I said, "Because I got this really cool idea where we'll put them through some workshops. So we better
Yeah.
prepare them for the workplace. But we'll just do half a day on each subject, so it's really intense, 2 days, 2 days." So I just dreamt it up then, and when I thought this would be really cool. And then
Yeah.
I really wanted to make it affordable, so companies, and especially, so it wasn't always the Westpacks, the Goodman Fieldses of the world who would take it on. So, like yourself, have been incredibly generous and taken a couple of students each year. And I wanted to
Mm,
make it affordable. And also with the thing of saying, these kids are really bright. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I read their CVs, and I'm sort of embarrassed to think what my CV was like at their age. I was thrilled that we were able to pull it together, and we've run it now for a couple of years. Um, but the feedback we've got from the companies who are taking the students is amazing. And the other
Yeah.
thing that really makes me proud is when the students are posting about how good the experience has been in working with these
mm,
different companies. And that's the bit for me. It's like, well, shit hot, we've really made a difference to these students' lives. And that, for me, that's one of the best parts of my job. Yeah.
It's wonderful because one of the challenges, I suppose, is like you say, Marketing Association has different tiers of membership, and you've got
Yes.
people who are really high powered, some of New Zealand's best CMOs and CEO, like
All of the
involved with
best
the
CMOs are with us, Stephanie.
100, absolutely, absolutely, and but then and obviously then you've got the students and um at what like it's I guess you've got to balance the needs between large corporates
Yes.
and servicing those needs and then there's the networking opportunities which we haven't really
Yes.
talked about combined with I guess the education needs.
Yep.
Do you spend much time kind of getting feedback and insights from some of the students to kind of think about what that next because I see it too, that next wave of marketing, because it's a profession that's fragmented and changing.
Mm.
How does that kind of impact your thinking?
So, I mean, it's one of those things. If you listen to Richard Branson, says you get the best information by talking to your customers, and most people who know me know that I talk with members all the time, and that
You won't leave us alone, John. You won't leave us alone.
So, I mean, that gives great feedback. I mean, for example, today we were in with Westpac with their senior leadership team, getting their feedback, and they gave us a couple of ideas in terms of some new things that they'd like to see that we hadn't thought of. In terms
Cool.
of the students, not so much with them, for the reason being they don't know what they don't know, and
mm,
they really do need to be guided through. And it's one of the reasons that we created the Emerging Marketer Accelerator, which is kicking off in a couple of weeks. And I mean, that came about because we had the marketing awards last year, and we had all these brilliant young marketers sitting there out in their, MA cafe, and so I thought, what can we do to help them and to really do something a little bit different? And I thought, well, AML's been an absolute banger for us. So why not have a look at the that's Advanced Marketing Leadership Program? Sorry for the
I was going to say, for
for
people who don't know, yes, that's right.
'cause, I mean, marketers are dreadful for talking in acronyms.
Yeah.
And the Emerging Marketer Accelerator, I thought, well, what if we took some of the best elements in the program that we do for them in terms of a structure point of view, shortened it, made it more affordable to help that. We've got 29 participants for our first intake, which is brilliant. How can you not love your job when you help, getting people excited like that? It's just brilliant.
And just for the uninitiated, what sort of brand job titles or level of experience would you expect somebody going into that emerging talent
Okay, so
program?
we specified it's 2 to 5 years
Yeah.
experience, and there's all sorts of job titles in there, for some who have actually already made it to brand manager because they're so good. There's assistants, there's head of digital roles, there's
All
all
sorts. Yeah.
But the range of companies is really interesting too. We've got from Fonterra, Goodman Fielder, Westpac, ANZ, Kiwi Bank, 2 Degrees, smaller companies, Unimed, Briscoe's. So it's a very wide range. But yeah, it really is quite a variety of restaurant brands are there. It's a wide
Yeah, cool.
variety of companies who are in there,
That's
which
brilliant.
is fun.
I mean, both Steph and I have done the Advanced Marketing Leadership Program. I did it in 2024. I think you did it last year, Steph.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What an amazing experience. I mean, the network that the Marketing Association has, we heard from international marketers. We heard from some of the best CMOs and marketing leaders and CEOs in New Zealand, some amazing brands.
Yeah.
And the network is brilliant. I'm still in touch with a lot of the class from that year. And how does that, like, what is the criteria for people to come into that program in advanced marketing leadership?
Basically, you've got to have at least 10 years experience. You have to be.
We only just scrape in, Ben. We only just scrape in.
Some of the two of the youngest participants ever.
You've got to be leading a team. You've got to be focused on. You've got to have good EQ. It's emotional intelligence. You've got to, I do turn people away each year who aren't quite. And some of the people who go in, I read and watch every single video. And,
that's right.
You have to audition, people. You have to get in front of the camera and plead your case to John.
And you've got to come in and you've got to be, and it's putting people outside their comfort zone. And a lot of the time, I think, like last year, Steph, so a couple of people started whinging in the class, I say, take a concrete pill, hard enough.
Yeah.
It's,
that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's not an easy program. And then on top of that, you've got how many events that you run during the year? It's a lot. I mean, Steph and I
every year.
Steph and I are going to be presenting at the B2B event this year, which is exciting. So we're doing Can the Marketing Podcast live. But your events team, it feels like they wrap up one event and are already deep into the next event.
So as an incorporated society, we have to do a statement of performance. And it just came in a couple of years ago. And as part of that, we and we'll be releasing this to members. We have to tell them what we do and how many things. And so we actually tallied it up, and we did 80 events last year.
80 events.
It's crazy, right? Because I think I think the marketing profession, and Ben and I have talked about this. We need events like this, and what's great about those events is they've got their specific reason for being, and
correct.
And that's wonderful. And we talk about positioning, and so the on social I think that was the first time you did it last year.
First time we ran it last year, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, you never know. We might be getting you guys to come in and maybe record a canned podcast while people are coming in the morning for that. So,
We would be very good at that. We could
yeah.
we could create a
So,
lovely wall of
yeah.
walk
So,
of fame.
yeah. So I mean, you've got to remember, even if it's say like the guys in Queenstown who run about 6 events a year. So we do all the registrations for that. I still have one person working on it. So that's within the 80 events, but we're still actually, doing the overall managing, the name tags, the etc. And one of the things, which I'm really pleased about is the organisation was very Auckland centric when
Yeah.
6.5 years ago, and it was Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, and
Mm.
now we're if you start from the very south, it's Queenstown, Dunedin, Christchurch, Wellington, Tauranga, Hamilton, Auckland.
Yeah.
So that's brilliant. Again, that's
Mm.
the team does get scared if I ever come in and say I've just had an idea.
Yeah. I can imagine Monday meetings.
So because I mean, as you know, I'm very enthusiastic about my ideas, and it's because I'm a great believer, if you can't be passionate and enthusiastic about what you're doing, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Um,
I've got a
yeah,
question, John.
sure.
Because we obviously in the world of marketing we talk about retention and acquisition,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
so thinking about those big events, those
Mhm.
like the brand
Yep.
summits and the on social,
Yeah.
do you find that that's a good way to recruit new people or have a taste of what the MA is about, or is it mostly members that come to those?
We have quite a large number of non-members coming to it. We
Mm,
obviously put a reasonable price differential on it,
yeah.
and with our flagship education programs like AML and now EMA, Advanced Marketing Leadership and Emerging Marketer Accelerator, we put a significant price differential on it,
Yeah.
and because a lot of the time people go, oh, I don't, there's some companies who go, oh, I don't know if I'm getting the value for my membership. And the value for the membership is much wider than self. I mean,
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
allowing us to go in and do things like we're doing in Queenstown, Dunedin, and to actually support those areas. We do quite a bit of philanthropic things, like with the top talent. I mean, tomorrow's our golf day, where we're raising money for melanoma. I mean, we raised
Yeah.
$60,000 for them last time.
Well
Um,
done.
Yeah.
we we
Which is incredible, right?
yeah,
Mm.
and things like, I mean, I go and speak all the time. I speak at the unis. I do a lot of. I'm on their advisory committee. I mean, I'm still getting paid, but if we didn't have a membership base, it wouldn't
Yeah.
allow us to do those things. It wouldn't allow us to be down in Dunedin, hyping up a quite what's now, after 1 year, quite a strong little group. They
Yeah.
can't afford, we don't charge down there in terms of if you're a non-member, because we want people to start coming along and
And
seeing the
grow.
benefit. And
Yeah.
Mm.
this year I think we're charging them a whopping $15 if they're a non-member. But that's the whole idea. And then also, the things like Keith, good old Keith, who's 87 now and still works. Still works. I mean, ask Keith. Free services like that. The resource hub. We've got over 1,000 pieces of content on there.
Yeah.
Um, all of the free webinars, etc., etc. So it's quite
Something for
often,
everyone.
yeah, I mean, we do get the odd company who just goes, oh, the whiff and what's in it for me, and that's just their focus. But the really, the people like yourselves, and especially Ben, and I think Ben is one of my favourite members, is has a look at it from
Oh,
a
there's
much,
over 9,000 people, Ben. That's amazing.
yeah.
Look,
But but really looks at from a holistic point of view, not from the Human Digital only sent 2 people to this, and
yeah.
that sort of view of the world. I was saying to Westpac today, I mean, we're really blessed because the marketing community in New Zealand, I would say, is the bunch of nicest people ever. If you have a look at in other industries and other, lawyers, accountants, whatever, people wouldn't do what they do in the marketing. You have a look at, like the advanced marketing leadership, and have a
Oh,
look at
yeah.
the people who I get to go in there. Why do they go in there? Because I ask them. But they know that they're giving back to strengthen our profession as a whole. They know, I mean, I always consider my greatest achievement each year is for the speed mentoring part of the advanced marketing leadership, where we get 35 CMOs and CEOs, people like Jodie O'Donnell of TVNZ and
Yeah.
people like that, Jason, Georgia Mahaffey, Frankie, who's now at the Warehouse Group. I get them all in the same room on time. And I always consider it my
Well,
greatest achievement every year of getting 30 odd CMOs in the same room on time. Why do they do
Mm,
it? Because they feel it's important. They feel it's giving back to the industry. It's not actually because John asked them. It's because they actually do want to give back. And that's the strength of the marketing community.
what really strikes me here is that there's a lot of long-term relationships. It's not a
Yes.
lot of one-off, get this person in.
Mm.
I mean, yes, you've got people for the big events to do these keynote speaking
Yeah.
situations, but it definitely feels like there's this whole idea of partnering for the long term, both with the companies that you work with and the people that you've
Yeah.
got kind of in your team.
Yes, that's very, very true. And, Westpac's a wonderful example of that. And they believed in what we were doing right at the beginning and backed us. And, they were our principal business partner for 5 years. They've actually been replaced by ASB, and it's wonderful that ASB have come in and recognized the value of what we do. And it shows the value of what we do that, we were able to replace a long-term partner like that. But
Mhm.
all of the major players, we have very long-term relationships. They. Yeah, but I think a part of it is that most people will have a good sense of humor and they like a smile, and they know that we just genuinely want to help them and their team do better at their job.
So
Mm.
I'm a big believer in marketing. I think it's the best industry and career that anyone could choose.
Best job in the
I
world, Ben.
It is the best job in the world, and the best job in the company. We are, the people call us the fun department, and
Mm.
in other words. But I think it is a great career choice.
Yes.
That being said, there is so much change in
Yes.
marketing,
Yeah.
and it is a bit of a
Well,
roller coaster. What are you seeing in store for us for 2026?
I mean, one of the things that with all of this change and thing, and I mean, you've listened to Ritson, Mark Ritson, and Mark really stressed this point last time he was here about you still need to know the fundamentals of marketing.
Mm.
You still need to have a thorough understanding of the 4 Ps, and if you don't, you're pretty much you're not really a marketer. That said, the big changes are in efficiency. And the whole AI revolution is changing the efficiency of what we can do. What I believe it means is that people need to think more. They actually need to have the ability to critically think about what's being delivered to them. So it's real easy, okay? You go in and you go on Chat GPT and say, give me this, give me this, give me that. And it comes back and the uninitiated will go, oh, that's good, and they'll just send it off. I mean, I use Chat GPT and be going through and solving a problem. I'll do 20, 30 iterations because you have to be able to problem solve. You have to be able to think about it and say, what really is the problem that we're wanting to solve?
Mm,
And be able to have that. I've got a thing I always use is, if we do the best job ever, what's the best thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? And I'm a great believer in that, and always have been. And I think that's one of the things that, whilst we have all this revolution, we do need to go back to that base thinking. That said, creativity, I think, is making a comeback.
yeah.
Data analytics is huge. ROI on spend is massive. The whole, but that whole, I was lucky enough to be in London. I was talking with Andrew Tyndall, who from System One, who's,
Yes.
big hobby horse, creativity, all those sorts of things. And he was saying, look, the whole creativity really is a renaissance in Europe. People going back to, I'm a dinosaur marketer, of going back to, hey, if you put a smile on people's face, you've got a much better chance of cutting through. Really those basics, and the basics still are actually fundamental to everything you do. The big changes are the delivery mechanisms. And, with what you deal with, Ben, it's just that we've got a plethora of delivery mechanisms of the message now. Whereas, back in my day, it was like, TV1 or TV2 or TV3 if you're brave. Maybe,
if you were young.
we've got 4 radio stations here in Auckland, 89 FM, 91 FM, and so, but you still had to put a smile on people's face to get noticed, otherwise you wallpaper. And I think the big changes are in those delivery mechanisms, and it's much harder for marketers today in terms of deciding what channels should I be doing, where should I be, what channels should I be loving, and then being able to demonstrate what that ROI is, and being able to demonstrate what data analytics and those sorts of things. And I think that whole data analytics ROI, especially in the bigger companies, is and smaller companies, if they're smart, they might say, "Oh, I haven't got the budget to do it." You actually haven't got the budget not to do it.
Not to do.
It's
100%.
yeah. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's my sort of. Remember, I'm not at the coalface anymore. I'm a hustler, Ben. You know that.
That's good.
You're
Well,
both
John,
you're both hustlers, as far as I'm concerned. So there
we
you
love
go.
the hustle.
2 peas
So
in a
cool.
pod.
It's my favorite.
John, it's been amazing to have you on the pod. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, look, my pleasure. I love talking about the Marketing Association.
Well, I'm very happy to have Marketing Association in my life personally. So thank you so much for your time, John.
Yeah, look,
Thanks,
it's
John.
my pleasure. And always, as you know, we're always happy to help and always love to receive feedback and, how can we improve? What are the different things that we can do? Yeah.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Can the Marketing Podcast is brought to you by Human Digital and Q Marketing. Our editor is Bruna Barbosa. New episodes drop weekly, so tell your friends and colleagues.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow and subscribe to Canned wherever you listen. Apple, Podcasts, Spotify, and if you want the full visual experience, check us out on YouTube.
See you next week.